The Flash, issue number 29. Joshua Williamson writing and Popman, which that name popped up, and I think it was Teen Titans last month. And I remember thinking it was a cool name then, and it's still a cool name now.
Yeah.
But also, him and Christian Juice both did the art for this issue of Flash. So that's continued on from where we ended last issue, where he... Oh, forgetting the villain's name again. I keep forgetting this villain.
Shrapnel.
Thank
Shrapnel.
you. Yes. Basically, we start with the aftermath of the fight we don't really get to see, which is these bikers who've been robbing the armored cars get... they're not dead, but they are like gravely injured. They are taken to the hospital. They are... And... I like this issue more than the last one, because I think the last one, while it had some good stuff in it, it felt like a lot of setup and it didn't feel like a fully fledged issue. This one, I'm really glad slowed down. I really like some of the opening stuff where it's Barry like sort of like stumbling into his apartment and like getting into the bath like with the suit that's all half ripped, and he's like trying.
How does Bruce do it?
Yeah, that was some funny stuff. He's like, how does Bruce? Oh, he's got a butler. Yeah, he's got somebody who takes care of him. I'm just here miserable on my own in pain. Which again is an effect of the negative Flash powers because he's not healing the way he normally does with his Speed Force stuff.
Well, because he doesn't want to use his powers because they end up being destructive. And I like that this is basically handcuffed the Flash. Well, it's definitely handcuffed Barry Allen because he was already late when he had super speed. But now you take that away and you kind of see that I don't want to say he's not a good person, but he's not a great coworker for sure. I
think he's kind of almost selfish in that situation. He's very self-centered. Like, obviously he's not because he's this hero, but in the sense that he's very focused on his problems. Like here, he's feeling guilty because these bikers got killed and he didn't save them, and so it's all these things that kind of play into that he kind of just focuses on how things affect him, but he doesn't think of how this affects the rest of the precinct.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe a little bit of a stretch to say he's selfish per se. I think it's more of a byproduct of because he's a superhero and because he so often has to think about what he's doing as the Flash. I think the idea that he then has to like put that aside when he's like
it's kind of this idea that he kind of looks down. It's like, no, my problems are more important, almost because they're Flash related. So it's kind of like he feels above them in some respects.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks that way about it, though. I think it's more like...
No, I don't think he does, but I think that's kind of how it comes across.
It's more of a natural kind of like... Alright, okay, there's stuff to go on the work, but I can't get my Flash powers working so that I can actually go and save people again. It's more like, okay, what's going on there is important, but it's kind of small potatoes. And I think that's maybe what you see here, and where he comes off as a bad co-worker, is it's like... I think he just because up until now, when he's been the Flash and he's also been working at the police station, he uses his speed to make up for the fact that he's missing a lot of the time, and he'll jump in and he'll do things really quickly. So he'll still get everything done, but he'll be kind of in and out where he needs to be and when he's off doing other things. Whereas here, he then because there's a whole little moment where he comes in and he's handed all these files. He's like, well, normally I'd speed read these in like about 5 seconds. But I can't do that because they'll probably catch fire because I can't control my powers. So he has to do it the old-fashioned way, and it's like frustrating for him. So I like that this turned into basically the police side of him this issue, and it was mostly him with the co-workers, and it was mostly him figuring things out with them being pissed at him for not being around, them working this case, who's stealing the evidence, which they get to the bottom of. They sort of like figure out it's only blood work related things, and whoever was getting it knew what they were looking for, so it's someone who had access to the files, so they could sort of check things properly. And we obviously end with this thing where Barry goes to check the records of who was like signing in to look at them, and there's like all these like either knocked out or dead like policemen and like lab workers, and he's like there's a fire and he's trying to like help them out, but he's got no powers, and to the point where he gets so weak that he collapses and he's left lying there in the fire. But I think what I liked about it is that the issue slowed down compared to the last one, literally in a lot of ways because he's not using his speed, and it let us breathe a little bit in the story and let us actually suffer the consequences. Whereas the last issue, it was like, okay, he's talking about the consequences, but he's still doing stuff anyway. So it didn't really feel like it was really letting us feel the effects of them.
Yeah, whereas here he's, other than the flashback of the bit against Shrapnel, he's completely out of costume for the rest of the issue. Still doing some heroic stuff. At the end where he's going, he's like, I forget the powers, I'm still going to do my best to save these people.
Yeah, which is a good moment.
It shows he's a good person.
Yeah, it's a good moment, yeah. So Matt's whole he's a bad person malarkey goes out the window.
Well, no. That's why I said I don't want to say he's a bad person, but like as a coworker, you can't count on Barry Allen. And now you couldn't do it before, and even now because he still thinks he's going to do things by himself. And I think like that's the whole point of him being on this commission with the 2 detectives and the other crime scene tech.
Like I think he's forgotten how to be a person. On a human level, he's become more than that as the Flash.
Yep.
And his problems are bigger, and maybe he's right to be more focused on those because they are bigger problems that only he can deal with that these cops can't.
Yeah.
But it does mean that his job does suffer for it at times, and the people around him in that job, he kind of looks down on them without meaning to. It's I don't know. He's a good person obviously because he saves people, but
yeah,
he's not without flaws.
I think he's clearly a good person. It's just he focuses on other things. I think this is maybe examining the effect of that on the people around him, because even at the end of the last arc, it's about how has that affected Iris and like keeping things from her and all that kind of things. His relationship with Wally is not exactly in a great place right now. I mean, the original Wally is about the only character you can probably still go to right now, and he won't be pissed at him for something. So
well, even his Speed Force powers are all jacked up. Like
that's not Barry's fault though, so you won't be mad at him.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's not like
it's not even go for help.
Right.
So, all of that said, Wally would be like, "Yeah, I'm going to help anyway."
He would, yeah. But maybe Barry's concerned about his heart, so he's not going to ask.
So you're assuming he knows.
It probably, because that rewrote reality as if it always happened, so I imagine that he would know about it just from.
Yeah, I guess. But then the other Titans didn't know when it happened. He still had to tell them.
I thought this was better than the last issue. This issue sold me a lot more in this arc, and I didn't hate the last one. Obviously, there was still a lot of positives with it, but this one felt more like a full meal to me. I think that's what I kept saying last issue. I kept saying it felt like an appetizer without the main course.
Like I said, I think last issue I didn't really get other than it just being set up as what was the point of this issue as part of it. But here it's I get it. This issue is showing the effects of not having his powers on the people around him in his job. It's showing how his relationships with his coworkers, who probably should be his friends because he should be seeing them every day, are not that great because he doesn't spend any time with them. Like when they go to the cop bar and he's kind of uncomfortable. He's like, maybe we shouldn't be talking about cases here because he's not part of the everyday job like the rest of them.
Exactly.